continuing with the cloning of the color switch game in Unity. I'm going to present my screen and let's take a look at it. Right. So here is what we have so far in Unity. I'm going to press play and we see that we have the ball. Let me zoom in so that it's easier to see. We have the ball. I can move it. I can switch color by taking the color switch. I'm going to go through the red. I can pick up the point and my score gets up. Now I should have died here and the color should change color here. So I'm at red and now I'm at yellow. Okay, so I can only go through the yellow. Okay, ready, good, all right. And as you can see now, everything seems to be working just fine. So the next step is to create the actual graphics. Okay, so I'm in blue. I'm just going to stop here. And the next step is to create the user interface. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right away. To create the user interface, I actually added some menu items here. As you can see in my menu folder, I have a bunch of menu items. I can just right click and do reveal in Finder so that you guys can see them. Here they are, the menus. I'm going to zoom in. All right. So this is some menu items that I've already had because I created them for another game. And there's the play button. There's like remove ads so that we can add in-app purchases, restore ads, remove the sound or add the sound, post on Twitter, game over, the instructions, and then a bunch of reward badges, and also the score for the game over screen. Then just to start, if there's a new high score, and then the actual title, color switch. I did this in Photoshop. It takes no time. It's just some regular text. And I added 4 different, with a paint bucket, I just painted the two O's with the blue, red, green, and yellow colors. All right. So back to Unity. What I want now is create the main menu to start the game. So inside of my canvas, I'm going to add a new panel. Right click, create a UI item. That's a panel right here. As soon as I do this, I see it's starting to become a grayish area. And the reason why it's grayish is because there's a layer on top of it, which is the panel. And I'm going to rename that panel to panel or main panel, okay, so that I know what it is, main panel. And now what I'm going to do is add the items to it. But before I do so, I want to change the actual size of it. Instead of, I'm going to add some left and right a little bit so that it doesn't take all the space. So for the left, I'm going to put, let's say 20, top 20 as well, then the right 20, and the bottom 20 as well. Okay, so I do have the menu, but it's not taking all the space. And make sure it's centered. It should be centered by default. If not, click on centered and centered with the Alt or Option key down. Good. All right. Now that I have this, the next step I want to do is add the buttons inside of it. And to do so, I'm going to locate the play button. Here is the button play. And I need to, right now it's just a sprite, so I need to create an actual button. Inside of the main panel, I'm going to right click and add a UI element called the button. And here it is. And now I'm going to rename the button to button play. Button play. Right. And I'm going to remove the text inside. I don't need it, so I deleted it. And I'm going to change the source for the UI sprite. I'm going to click here and locate the play button inside of the assets. Play. Here is the button play. All right. So I'm going to click there, and now I have the button play. It's totally distorted, but that's not the problem. To have it right, I just need to change the width and the height. So I'm going to put, let's say 80 by 80. Okay, and now we have a pretty nice play button. We can make it bigger or not. It's up to us at this point. I think I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Let's go with 100. All right, so we know we have a play button. Cool. Now, what we could do is create the logic. Whenever we click on that play button, we start the game, right? So I'm going to create that logic. So first of all, to create that logic, I need to be able to trigger a function whenever I click on the button play, right? So I'm going to do this inside of the manager. So I click on the manager, and I'm going to click on the manager reference script to add the button play script. So here is the method. At the end of it, I'm going to add public void play or pressed play button. Pressed play button, right? And then I'm going to put to do, start the game. All right, I'm going to save this. Now I'm going back to Unity and I'm going to assign this button to the play button. All right, so clicking on the main panel, there's the button play inside. And now I look inside of the hierarchy. I see the on-click, click on the plus of the on-click list. And I'm going to select the manager. Why? Because the manager is the one that has the script for the button play pressed. Okay, now I can select the function inside of the manager reference script and select the pressed play button. We should see it. Yep, it's right there. Okay, so select the pressed play button. Good. All right, so now this will trigger the play button. And we need to create the logic for that. So let's go back to the code and create the logic. First, I need a reference to the play menu, the main menu. So I'm going to add this right below the sphere, public, name object, and I'm going to call this one main panel, right? And what I will need to do in the logic when I start the game, I'm going to hide the main panel. So I do main panel dot set active and put it to false, right? So I'm going to save this. Now, what I need to do is put the reference to the main panel inside of the manager. So I'm going to click on the manager, and I see in the manager references, I see the main panel right there, and it's known. So I need to take the main panel and drag and drop it there. All right, so far, so good. Excellent. Now, the next step is to actually start the sphere. Right now, the sphere is not doing anything. It will be moving, and we don't want it to be moving right away. We want it to be moving only when we press the play button. And to be able to do that, I can do multiple things. I can freeze it. So if I want, I can use the rigid body and freeze the X, Y, and Z, and then unfreeze them. Okay, so that's one way. Or I could just deactivate it and then activate it. So that's probably what I want to do right now. So right now, I'm going to go inside of the manager reference. And whenever the game starts, I'm going to deactivate the sphere. So sphere dot set active, and I'm going to put false. Now, I'm seeing a problem with the player sphere right now is that we want to see it. So if I deactivate it, we're not going to see it. So that's not a good thing. So what I want to do is probably freeze it. And to freeze it, I need to freeze the rigid body constraints. All right. So let's try to access the rigid body constraints to freeze it. So let's freeze the ball here. And I'm going to create a new method for this. Public freeze player, okay? Or freeze the player sphere so that we know that we're freezing it. And what do we do here? So we get the component of the sphere that has the rigid body. Okay, so actually we can just change the gravity scale and put it to 0. That will work as well. Okay, so what I will do here is select the sphere gravity scale, which is inside of the rigid body. So rigid body 2D body is equal to the sphere. So that's the player sphere. Sorry, player sphere dot get component, and the component that we're going to get is the rigid body 2D. Rigid body 2D. All right. Now that I have the rigid body 2D, I can change the gravity. So body, let's save the original gravity first. So let's add just a float. Initial gravity is equal. Let's put it is equal to 1 at first. But here, let's change the initial gravity. So initial gravity is equal to body dot gravity. Now, the gravity is supposed to be the gravity scale. Excellent. Now, what I could do is change the gravity scale. So body dot gravity scale is equal to 0. So now it won't move, and I save this. All right. So by the way, I need to put void in front of this. All right. And now I'm going to freeze the sphere. So whenever we press the play button, we unfreeze it. So public void unfreeze player sphere. And here, when I want to unfreeze, I have to do something very similar here. So what I'm going to do is take the rigid body of the sphere and say that the body dot gravity scale is equal to the initial gravity. All right, and that would unfreeze it. Unfreeze player sphere, okay? And I'm going to call this whenever we press the play button. Okay, so after we remove the panel, we can unfreeze it. But actually, we don't want to unfreeze it here. We want to unfreeze it whenever we start to press the button. So whenever we want to unfreeze it, whenever we trigger the sphere, which is inside of the player script. Okay, so whenever we click, the first time we click, we unfreeze it. And the first click will be whenever we have the fixed updates and we have the mouse button down. So here we want to unfreeze it. Okay, but we have to see if the game is on, right? So let's figure out if the game is on. So I'm going to remove this. And we need to add to say something like if refs dot game is enabled, game is on. Okay, then here we would unfreeze the sphere. Okay, but before we do so, we need to have the game is on tag, and let's create the game is on tag. And by the way, the unfreeze player sphere is inside of the refs, but I don't have access to the refs. So to get access to the refs, I can just add the manager reference. I actually have it here, so that's perfect. I'm going to do that here, right? And I need to add the game is on. So going back to the manager references, I'm going to add the flag here. So that's public Boolean. Why is it a Boolean? Because it's a true or false. So game is on, and by default it's false. Why? Because at the beginning the game is not on. All right. And whenever we press the play button, we're going to put the game on. So game is on is equal to true. Excellent. Now what we want to do also here is probably we need to display instructions. Okay, so we want to make sure that we need to display the instructions here. All right. Now in the player script, what I want to do here, I want to do if the game is if the game is on, we unfreeze, but we all want to see also what is the gravity, like what is the and the gravity is 0, and so we need to get the gravity of this. So that's body dot gravity scale is equal to 0. Why? Because we don't want to unfreeze something that's already unfrozen. So we want just to check if the gravity scale is 0. All right, so we can save that. Now let's check what we have. I'm going to press play. And now I'm going to press play here. Now I saw something. I saw that at the beginning we never said that the game needs to be frozen. So in the manager reference, we need to freeze the player sphere. So I'm going to take the freeze player sphere and add this inside of the start. All right, I'm calling the player sphere. So whenever the game starts, we freeze the player sphere. All right. Now let's go back, and I'm going to press play. All right, and I see that it's not moving, so that's good. Now if I press play, the sphere will get unfrozen. Now something that I want to do is probably move the play button up so that I can actually see the sphere, because right now we don't even see it. But let's go ahead for now and just press play. All right, and the sphere is actually moving right now. So there is something going on here. So it's not perfect. We definitely need to change something here. All right, and the best way to know what's happening is to select the sphere and look at its data. Now I see the sphere. I see that the gravity scale is 0, and I see that it keeps moving. So there is something that makes it move. It's probably the force. There is actually a force applied to it. So we need to to reset the velocity, okay? Or yes, or reset the force. So one way to do this inside of the freeze player sphere is to go here and reset the force. We can do body dot actually the force. Yes, we have the add force, but we have to find a way to do that. But probably the best is to actually freeze it. Okay, one way to freeze it is to access the freeze position X, Y, and Z. So body dot constraints dot so which constraint? I have to see how to do that here. I'm not sure we can actually do that. I hope I can access the constraint, but I don't see that right away. So body dot freeze rotation, yes. So freeze rotation is equal to true. Okay, so that's one. Body dot, let's say there's another freeze. Can I freeze the position? Oh, but I can do, oh, well, so I'll have to deal with that at some point. But anyway, for now, I probably don't want to use that. Let's see what else I could do. I could use the isKinematic to true, and that probably would freeze it as well. So let's try this out. So I'm going to remove that for now. So as you can see, we can try different ways to do that. So body dot isKinematic. Oh, probably the sleeping, right? We can do isSleeping. Can we change that? Let's try body.sleep. Yep. And we can probably put that body.sleep. Let's see if that does anything. I'm going to save that. I put this in the unfreeze. No, I got to cut this and put this inside of the freeze. All right, and save that. So let's see if the sleep does it. I'm going to press play. And I'm going to press play. Nope. So this doesn't work. So let's go back with isKinematic and see if that does the trick. Right. So body dot isKinematic equal to true. Right. So that should stop it. Let's see. I'm going to press play now. Press play here. Yep. So by adding isKinematic to true, I have the ball that's frozen. Okay. So whenever I press play now, I need to remove the isKinematic. How do I do this? Well, I can just take that and go to the triggers, no, not the trigger script, the player script. And here, inside of the unfreeze, I would remove the isKinematic. Okay, so let's go to the manager references. And whenever we unfreeze, we just put body.isKinematic false. And let's save. So now that we've done that, let's try it out. Going to Unity, going to press play here and play within the game. Right now it's not moving, and if I press the button down once, all right, I can actually move the ball. Excellent, good. So it's working as expected. Now something that I also want is to add the instruction that says press to start. Okay, so I'm going to go to add this button inside of the canvas. So I'm clicking on the canvas and I look for the press to start and press to jump. That will be just a simple image. So I should see the image inside of the instruction of the menu folder. Yep, here it is. Tap to jump, and I'm going to drag and drop this inside of the canvas. All right, and I'm going to move this down a little bit. So I'm going to take the Y and move it down. All right. Now I only want to see the instruction whenever I press play. So I need to have an access to the instruction. I'm going to the manager reference script and add a reference to it. Public, game object, and the object is the instructions. All right. And at the beginning, the instructions will not show. So in the start, I put instructions dot set active false. I basically turned it off. And now, whenever I press the button, whenever I go to the player script, whenever the button is pressed, here, whenever I unfreeze, I need to set it up as well. So I need to remove the instruction. Going back to the manager references, inside of the unfreeze, what do? I say instructions.setActive false. I'm sorry, yes, it's false, but when we freeze the player sphere, we set it active to, we set the set active for the instruction to true here. Okay, so whenever we start the game, we show the instruction, and after we the player taps on the screen, we hide the instructions. All right, now I need to assign the instructions inside of the manager. So I'm clicking on the manager, and I see the I should see the instructions anytime. I don't see it yet. Oh yes, here it is. Okay, so I'm going to drag and drop the instructions game object inside of the instructions reference of the manager references. All right, now I'm going to press play. All right, I'm going to press play here, and somehow I don't see the instructions. So either they're too far off. Oh, I think I know why, because I put the instruction inside of the main panel. Yep, that's definitely what it is. I need to put it inside of the canvas, not the main panel. That's what happened. All right, so pressing play. All right, I'm going to press the play button, and somehow I still don't see it. So there's something going on here. The instructions are still not active. So let's see what's going on with that. So I see the unfreeze. So the only reason why this would happen is that because somehow the unfreeze is getting called too early. Let's see. Okay, so whenever we press play, oh yes, that's what's going on. Whenever we press play, we need to show it. So we need to set it active. So I'm going to cut this here and put it here. So display instructions, and we had it. We set it in a to-do. So set active true. That's what's going on. All right. Now let's see. Hopefully that's all it is. Press play. Yep. Tap to jump. And now if I tap, let's see. Yep, the instructions are gone. Excellent. Everything works as intended. Cool. Now, next is to work on the game over panel. So let's create the game over panel. Inside of the canvas, right click, UI panel. So I create a new panel, and I'm going to name it game over panel. Game over panel. Now, inside of that panel, I need to modify the left, top, right, and left. I'm going to put 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Okay, let's go with 20. So I'm adding some margins to it. Okay, 20, 20, 20, and 20, just like the main panel. And inside of it, I need the game over screen. So I'm going to take this game over and drag and drop this inside of the game over panel. All right, and now it says game over. I want to remove this. I want to move this up. So I'm going to play with the Y and move the game over up, right? Somewhere around here. Cool. And we also need to add some button to say replay, right? So that would be nice if I had a replay button. I don't. So what I'm going to do is reuse the play button for now. Okay. So to use the play button, what we could use is just select the play button and add it here. So I'm going to take the button play and put it inside of it. All right. So I'm going to duplicate. So right click, duplicate, and move it inside of the game over panel. Cool. All right. Now that I have the button play, it already has the right code to play. And what I want to do is also add inside of the manager, I want to add a reference to the game over panel. So going inside the manager reference, I'm going to add a reference to it. Public game object, game over panel. Right, and now I need to assign it. Here in the manager, I'm going to assign the game over. Here it is. So I select the game over panel and put it inside of the game over references. Cool. Now going back to the script, I need to hide it whenever the game starts, right? So whenever the game starts, inside of the freeze player sphere, I can also hide it. So I'm going to go to the freeze player sphere. Actually, let me do it right below it because it does not belong inside of the freeze player. It belongs right below. So game over panel dot set active false. That basically hides it. Right. Now what we need to do next is whenever we start and click on play, this should already be off, but whenever we lose, we should show the game over. So let's add a method to show the game over. Public void show game over panel. And what this does right now is just going to say game over panel dot set active to true. That will show it. We save that. And let's create a method to hide the game over panel. We might not need it. But whenever we press the play button, we also want to hide the game over panel. So where is the play button? So whenever the play button here, press play button, we also want game over panel dot set active false. All right, and let's save. Okay, so technically we should be good to go. We have not called the show game over panel, so we need to call this show game over panel, and this is called whenever the player dies, right? So the player dies at multiple spots. It dies whenever the manager, whenever the trigger script has game over here. So definitely it dies here. So what do we do here? We're going to call the reference. So that's manager references. Actually, we can just take the line right above. We already had it. Perfect. So I'm going to copy this and put it inside of the trigger. All right. I just need to change the code. All right. And the code would be refs dot show game over panel. All right. And put a semicolon at the end and save. Good. Now, something I just remembered is that whenever we have the game over, what do? We need to also say that the game is not on. So whenever we are in the manager references, here we also say game is on is equal to false because the game is not on anymore. That's very important. All right. And let's make sure that we have the game is on true whenever we press the play. Yep, that's good. All right, let's save. Let's go back to Unity and let's try this out. I'm going to press play. Right, now I'm going to press the play button. Oh, somehow it's not working. So there might be an error somewhere. Oh, I paused it. That's what it is. Okay, good. I scared myself for nothing. All right, I'm going to press play. Now it says tap to jump. So I start tapping. Okay, good. And everything seems to be working. So now I'm gonna try to lose on purpose by going through a different color. Boom. All right, game over. Now, something that's funny is that, did you guys see the game over? What happened is that we saw the play button move and things like that, so it's not perfect. But let's try again. Okay, it needs to reset. So the level is not resetting. Okay, so we need to reset. Okay, so actually instead of the play button, I'm going to put the restart instead. So inside of the game over panel, I'm going to remove the button play and call it button restart. Okay, button restart, and that will restart the game. And here, what I will do is the logic to restart the game. And let's create this restart action inside of the manager references. Public void pressed restart game, or press restart button. And then inside of it, let's put the logic to restart the game. Well, I believe there's an application dot I thought there was a reload, but I think there's a load level. Oh yeah, because there is a new way. Before, in the past, we used to load scenes, but we don't have to load scenes now. What we have to do is call a method to reload, and I don't remember it by heart because I don't have to use it that often. Let me Google it really quickly. So Unity application load level, I believe. Yes, that's load level. That's right. Okay, so obsolete. Yeah, as you can see, it says it's obsolete. We have to use something different. Let's see. Yes, application load level. Yes, we have to use the scene manager now. Okay, I guess no, it's application load level. Yes, I thought the scene were open. So dot load level. Oh, obsolete. Good. So it's scene manager. Good. So scene manager, which would be, yes. So somehow I need the scene manager, and it doesn't seem to be seeing it. So I have to see why it doesn't find the scene manager. Let's just try to start writing it. Scene manager. And the scene manager, maybe that's because I need to load the scene manager. So that should be in the Unity, probably using Unity engine dot scene management. That's what's going on. All right. Now that I have the scene management, I can probably use the scene manager dot, and here will be load scene, and it needs the scene index. Now the first one, it could be the scene by index or by name. Now this scene, the name of the scene that I have is called main. So I could load main, right? If I go there and say main, then that should work. And we're going to try this out by saving it. All right. And going back here. Now what I need is when I click the button restart, I need to call this method. So here, manager references, that would be the pressed button restart. Let's see, pressed restart here. All right, save it. Let's press play. And let's see. Okay, so I press start. I'm going to lose on purpose by taking the wrong color. Oh, actually, I took the right color, but let me take the wrong one. Okay, so I have that. I have the button restart, but I'm going to change that. Let me press play again. And yes, it reloaded the scene. So far, so good. Let's just change the actual button restart display. Right now, what we want it to display text. So we could do it two ways. I believe that probably the best is to actually create a new button. And I'm going to show you how to create a quick button really quickly. I'm going to use Photoshop. And I'm going to create a new button. So Command N to create that. And 237 by 237. No, I'm actually going to do like 400 by 250. Yes, I don't really like that. So let me do a new one. Let me do 500 by 200. Much better. Now I'm going to create the restart button by selecting the round rectangle tool. I'm going to remove the background, and then I'm going to create a white button. So I'm going to select the white color, and I'm going to use the rectangle tool with white and no stroke. Excellent. And let's create it. Okay, excellent. And inside of it, I'm going to write some text that says restart. I'm going to select some kind of a purple color, purple-ish color. All right, somewhere around here, that's good. And it's going to say restart. So I'm going to type restart. Here it is. Now it's way too high. So I'm going to move it. Press Command T to make it bigger. Actually, it's not exactly what I want. So I'm going to delete this one. I need to take the round rectangle and I need to click on Layer, Rasterize, and rasterize the layer. Now I can click on text or T and type now on top of it. Restart. Excellent. And let me move it. Command T, and let's just position it here. All right, that's it. Quick and easy. Let's save that. All right, save. And I'm going to save it here as a restart dash button. Good, save. Now, if I go back to Unity, I will see the restart button. Yep, and it's right there. So I'm going to take the button restart and change the source image to the button restart. Okay, so I'm just going to type restart and I should see it. Here it is. Good. All right. Now, I don't like the shape, but that's not a problem. We can increase the width. Okay, so you guys see that? We can increase the width easily. And now it looks pretty good. All right. So let's try it again. I'm going to press play now. And now I'm going to try this. I tap to jump. All right. And I'm going to lose on purpose. Boom. And now it says restart. Now the things are moving in the background because the ball is still moving. So what I need to do is freeze the ball. And you guys know how to freeze the ball when we have when the game is over, right? We can easily use the isKinematic to false, right? So I'm going to use the body isKinematic here and put it to false. I can use that inside of whenever we show the game over panel because we know that it's over, right? So I can just reuse what's above and put it here and say that the rigid body is the player sphere rigid body and isKinematic true. All right, good. So now I can use all of that, and let's give it a shot. I'm going to press play. I'm going to zoom in and press play. So far, so good. Tap to jump. So I'm tapping. Excellent. I'm going to take this. I'm going to go on the yellow, and yep, and it stops. Game over. Now let's click on restart. Excellent. It's reloading. Click play. And now I'm going to try to win. Okay. So to win, I'm going to wait for the yellow color so that I can go through the yellow. All right. I have 1 point. Excellent. Now I need to go through the yellow again. Oh, no, actually, I need to go through the green. So far, so good. Let me try. Whoa. All right. Now I need to go through the green. So I'm going to wait for the green to go. All right. I'm ready to go. Excellent. All right. It's actually a very fun game. As you can see, in like no time, we made a very fun game. Okay. It's green again. So let's go. Let's go through the green. All right. I have to wait for the green to move. Whoa. Oh, I missed. Oh, well. Anyway, you guys can see the game is amazing already. Now, the next step would be to actually add more of the buttons that we have, such as to have the sound on and off and add some sound. Also add more interesting shapes and add the share on Twitter and Facebook and so on. All right, so I'm gonna be doing this very soon. Excellent. I'm actually very proud of this. It's looking out really good.